Friends of history, gather round. We're about to embark on a journey through time to an era where legends were born and empires clashed. Buckle up, because we're about to dive headfirst into the world of ancient Egypt, a time of pharaohs, pyramids, and, oh yeah, epic battles. Picture the golden sands, the towering pyramids, and the bustling life along the Nile. We're talking about the reign of Ramesses II, a man who knew how to make an entrance and leave a mark on history. His legacy is etched in stone, his name synonymous with power and grandeur. Imagine a world where two superpowers collide. The tension, the strategies, the sheer scale of it all. It's a tale of ambition and might. In one corner, you have the mighty Egyptian Empire, a civilization synonymous with grandeur and power. Their temples, their monuments, all stand as testaments to their dominance. On the other side, we have the Hittite Empire, a force to be reckoned with, armed with chariots and iron weapons. They were fierce, innovative, and determined to expand their influence. Now, picture the Levant, a fertile crescent of land caught in the middle of these titans. This region was more than just a battleground, it was a prize coveted by both empires. This region, encompassing modern-day Syria, Lebanon, and Israel, became the battleground for their ambitions. It was a land rich in resources and strategic importance. It was a melting pot of cultures and kingdoms, each vying for control and influence. The stage is set. Trade routes crisscross the land, bringing wealth and conflict in equal measure. The players are in position. Armies are assembled, strategies are devised, and the air is thick with anticipation. And what follows is a saga of ambition, strategy, and clashes that would echo through the corridors of time. Let the games begin. This is the story of a clash of titans, where the fate of empires was decided on the battlefield. Ramesses II. The name itself conjures images of a larger-than-life ruler, a pharaoh whose legacy has endured for millennia, and trust me, he wouldn't have had it any other way. Ramesses II was a master of self-promotion, ensuring his image and achievements were immortalized in stone and story. This guy was all about projecting power and legacy, and boy did he deliver. His reign was marked by grandiose building projects, military campaigns, and a flair for the dramatic. Taking the throne in his early 20s, Ramesses was practically bursting with ambition. He saw himself not just as a ruler, but as a god-king destined to lead Egypt to unprecedented heights. He inherited a kingdom that was already a force to be reckoned with, but Ramesses, he wanted more. He envisioned an empire that would be the envy of the ancient world. He envisioned Egypt's borders stretching far and wide, his name etched into the annals of history as the greatest pharaoh to ever live. His ambitions knew no bounds, and what better way to cement your place in the chronicles than by going toe-to-toe with your rivals? Ramesses understood that military might was key to his vision. For Ramesses, that meant confronting the Hittites, a powerful empire carving out their own slice of the ancient world. The clash between these two titans would become legendary. This wasn't just about land or resources, though those were certainly factors. This was personal. It was about asserting dominance and showcasing Egyptian superiority. It was about prestige, about proving Egyptian dominance, about etching his name in hieroglyphs taller than any obelisk. Ramesses wanted to be remembered as the ultimate pharaoh. Buckle up, folks, because Ramesses was just getting started. His story is one of ambition, power, and an unyielding desire to leave an indelible mark on history. But hold your horses. Before we dive into the clash of these titans, we need to meet the other heavyweight in the ring, the Hittite Empire, led by the formidable Muwatalli II. Now, these Hittites weren't some ragtag bunch of sandal-wearing nomads. They were a sophisticated bunch with a taste for iron weaponry and chariot warfare that could make even the bravest Egyptian think twice. Muwatalli, much like his Egyptian counterpart, was no stranger to ambition. He had inherited a kingdom at the height of its power, a vast network of alliances, and a military machine that could churn out chariots faster than you could say Kadesh. He saw the Egyptians sniffing around the Levant, testing the waters, flexing their muscles. Well, Muwatalli wasn't about to back down. He would meet their challenge head-on, iron against bronze, chariot against chariot. So there you have it. Two empires on a collision course, each led by a ruler hungry for glory and expansion. The stage was set for a monumental clash that would echo through the ages. The Egyptians, under the ambitious and youthful Ramesses II, were determined to expand their influence and secure their borders. On the other side, the Hittites, led by the formidable Muwatalli II, were equally resolved to maintain their dominance in the region. Something had to give, and it did, in a big way. The tension between these two mighty empires was palpable, and it was only a matter of time before it erupted into open conflict. The stakes were high, and both sides knew that the outcome of this confrontation could alter the balance of power in the ancient world. Enter the First Levantine Campaign. This was Ramesses' grand entrance onto the world stage, a bold move to assert his authority and demonstrate his military prowess. The young pharaoh was eager to carve out a legacy for himself, and what better way to do that than by leading his troops into battle? Ramesses, young and eager to prove himself, marched his army north, determined to teach the Hittites a lesson and snatch some prime real estate while he was at it. His forces were well prepared and motivated, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. The journey north was not just a military expedition, it was a statement of intent. Now, details of this campaign are a bit like that chariot wheel you found in your grandpa's attic. Fascinating, but missing a few spokes. Historical records from this period are sparse and often fragmented, leaving us to piece together the story from various sources. Despite the gaps, we know enough to understand the significance of Ramesses' actions. We know Ramesses clashed with some local rulers, flexing his military might and adding a few more names to his ever-growing list of conquests. These skirmishes were crucial in establishing his reputation as a formidable leader and warrior. Each victory bolstered his confidence and solidified his position as a force to be reckoned with. This campaign was more of a warm-up act, a chance for Ramesses to test the waters, get a feel for the lay of the land, and maybe send a message to Muwatalli. Hey, I'm here, and I'm ready to rumble. It was a strategic move, allowing him to gather intelligence and assess the strength of his adversaries. Little did he know, the main event was just around the corner. The First Levantine Campaign was merely the beginning, a prelude to the larger and more decisive battles that awaited. Ramesses' journey was far from over, and the true test of his leadership and military acumen was yet to come. Section 5, the Second Levantine Campaign, 1274 BC, the Battle of Kadesh. Fast forward a couple of years, and we arrive at the big one, the Second Levantine Campaign, culminating in the mother of all ancient Egyptian battles, Kadesh. This, my friends, was the real deal, a clash of empires that would be sung about or, chiseled into stone for centuries to come. Ramesses, now a bit older and perhaps a tad overconfident, decided to up the ante. He divided his army into 4 divisions, each named after, you guessed it himself, talk about an ego. They marched towards Kadesh, a strategically important city smack dab in the middle of Hittite territory. Little did Ramesses know Muwatalli was waiting for him, and he wasn't messing around. He'd assembled a massive army, chariots by the thousands, hidden just out of sight, ready to spring a trap that would make even the most battle-hardened Egyptian wet his kilt. Imagine the scene, the Egyptian army, unsuspecting, marching confidently towards Kadesh. Suddenly, out of nowhere, the Hittite chariots come crashing into their ranks like a tidal wave of iron and fury. Chaos, confusion, Egyptians scattering like startled scarab beetles. Ramesses, caught completely off guard, found himself surrounded, outnumbered, and in a very tight spot. But this is where the legend of Ramesses really takes shape. He, along with his personal guard, fought like a man possessed, rallying his troops and pushing back against the Hittite onslaught. The Battle of Kadesh may have been a draw, but the rivalry between these two empires was far from over. A few years later, the embers of conflict reignited, leading to the Third Levantine Campaign. This time, both sides were a little more cautious, a little less eager to jump into another full-blown brawl. They engaged in a series of smaller skirmishes, testing each other's defenses, probing for weaknesses, but neither side could deliver a decisive blow. It was a game of cat and mouse with the Levant as their playground. This campaign, unlike its predecessor, was less about epic clashes and more about strategic maneuvering and shifting alliances. It was a war of attrition, with both sides trying to wear the other down. By the end of the Third Levantine Campaign, the geopolitical landscape had shifted. Neither Ramesses nor Muwatalli had achieved a complete victory, but the constant back and forth had taken its toll on both empires. They were exhausted, their resources depleted, their armies weary. The real winner in all of this, probably the scribes, who had a heck of a time documenting all the drama. In a surprising twist, the Egyptians and Hittites eventually decided that maybe, just maybe, peace was a better option than endless war. They signed a peace treaty, one of the earliest known in history, and ushered in an era of relative peace and stability. This treaty wasn't just a piece of parchment. It was a symbol of a changing world, a world where diplomacy could triumph over conflict, at least for a little while. So, what became of Ramesses II, the young pharaoh who dared to challenge an empire? Well, he went on to have a very long and prosperous reign, building temples, monuments, and solidifying his image as the epitome of Egyptian power. He may not have crushed the Hittites entirely, but he held his own against them, and that, in the cutthroat world of ancient empires, was no small feat. He returned to Egypt, perhaps a bit wiser, definitely a lot more experienced, and with enough battle stories to keep his grandkids entertained for years to come. The campaigns against the Hittites might not have been the cakewalk Ramesses initially envisioned, but they cemented his place as one of the most famous pharaohs in history. And hey, isn't that what really matters in the end, to be remembered?